G'day, viewers and listeners. It's the out of focus Ed Fox. My camera's playing silly buggers again. And, one of the friends of our podcasts and video casts, or I don't know what you call them, video shows. So this is or I should say, g'day, y'all. It's the Edward Show. I've got to get better at doing that, Chris. But our special guest today is Chris Tice. So welcome, Chris.
Hey, all right. Got the crowd applause and everything.
Yeah, I got the crowd applause. I don't know if I actually have that sound on good. No, I don't. Okay, let's do that. Okay, we're gonna do it again. And we don't edit this thing, so it
you gotta have fun. Hey.
Sounds better, right? Yeah, that sounds better.
That's awesome.
We're excited that Chris is on the show again, and we're going to cover some different stuff. If you don't know, Chris has been on the Wake Up Call with Ed and Paul a couple of times. I don't know that we've got them both up yet, but we got one of them up, and you'll be glad to know, not only have they let us go on Spotify and Google Podcasts, they now have let us on Apple Podcasts and on Amazon Podcasts. So, I mean, you got to have at least 10 shows or something to get on Apple or whatever. I don't know. I just do what they say. And so they approved all those, and to their detriment, we are now Apple Podcasters. But anyway, we're here to talk about the Edward Show. And what's the Edward Show about? It's normally about Edward, but what we try and do is we try and let our guests talk a little bit, just a little bit. And sometimes for them, that's a sort of that's what that is. But anyway, we'll try. G'day, Chris. How's it going?
Phenomenal. Grateful to be here. Grateful to always have a conversation with you, Ed, anytime. I know you called it the Edward Show and said you get to talk, and I want everyone to know, if you're not following Ed on his different platforms, if you haven't connected with him, if you haven't done one-to-one with him, it's always an incredible chat. We have a lot of fun, but I've gained honestly the little amount of time we've known each other. Really, it feels in a good way. It feels like it's been a long time, but I've just learned so much, and I've had so much fun. So I'm appreciative to be able to be here. And
it's hard to take all that. It's like it's hard to take those things where I'm a better giver than I am receiver when it comes to that stuff. That's a gift. My mom was always the giver. She loved going out of her way at Christmas and on birthdays, and like it was always too much, right? As a kid, it was never enough, but it was always. And my mom, that's a great thing that I picked up from my mom, is the giving. But it's like, you want to make light of it when it comes back at you. Oh, shucks. Yeah, keep it going. Oh, shucks. But you try and want to make light of it. And I really appreciate that, because that's my goal is, a lot of people say, oh, I don't like Zoom. I'm like, I love Zoom. I get to talk to people all around the world. And if you're authentic, and if you give of yourself on how can I help this person, not what can I get from them, right? Because sometimes you'll get on a one-to-one and all they'll do is pitch. Mm-hmm. That's with a P. Like they'll pitch their product or service to try and get you to. And that, they normally have to pull it out of me to like let them know, what I'm doing as it relates to could it help them. But I really find that if people are authentic, unless you're a jerk, I say serial killer, unless you're a serial killer, don't be that, right? Don't be that. Change. But we're all flawed humans. I mean, ain't none of us perfect. You and I both as Christians recognize that there's only one perfect person that's ever walked the earth, and we ain't it.
Yep.
Right.
Amen to that.
One of my challenges, and I don't want to make this heavy, but sometimes, hey, it is what it is, right? But we can always move it over to, I've got another YouTube, I've got a Facebook page called Edward's Keeping It Real or something like that. And we're just talking legit. And I'm not really one to badmouth anybody, but I think sometimes we need to talk about some topics that they don't want to get into those hard conversations anymore because they get too angry. It's like, hey, we can agree to disagree. My liberal friends think I'm too conservative. My conservative friends think I'm too liberal. I think that's a good place to be, right? Yeah. But as Christians, we know that, we're born sinners. And one of the challenges I had before I became a Christian is I looked at all these other Christians and I'm like, I'd go to church and I felt like, man, they're awfully judgy. They're awfully judgy. If we're all sinners, why are they so judgy? And, you have to find the right church, right? Just because one church isn't a good fit doesn't mean that there's not a small group or a home church or, somewhere that you can fit in. Or maybe now with Zoom, there's so many different Facebook Lives and different things that you can listen to different churches. find one that fits you, find one that actually quotes from the Bible. Like, that seems like a silly thing to say, but I've been to some churches that they don't ever open the Bible. I'm like, hang on, what the heck?
Yeah, so I've actually been a part of 7 different denominations and baptized 3 times. The first one was as
the first 2.
well, yeah, basically, yes. I'll get there. So the first one was as a little baby. The second one, technically, quote unquote, did not actually count as a baptism because they didn't put the holy oil in.
They forgot that
because
day.
Yeah, right. They because I had already been baptized, they said they were just doing it as a rite of initiation because everyone else was getting to do something.
Oh, I see.
Which, as a 10, 11, 12-year-old boy, however old I was when we did that, it cheapened it for me, though.
Right.
I was like, that didn't, even though I probably didn't even know the word at the time, authentic, it didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel like, what's this saving grace that, I've been told about all my life? And then the third one was, I was told because I'd never been dunked that the other 2 did not count. And so I was like, well, okay. And I was 19, I think. And now I've just realized it's just freedom in Christ. It's understanding that we are forgiven through grace and mercy. Doesn't mean you keep doing, wrong things, but as you learn and grow, you continue to do that, and then you share it. Right. And so I think we get hung up on the technicalities too much. That's Old Testament. The New Testament says, here's why Jesus came. He made it simple for us. Right. Love God, love others.
Yeah, and that's so what yeah, sorry, go on.
No, you're good. Going through all that, the church we're at now, I'd had some issues at the last church, and I brought up the Bible like you were saying. And the senior pastor looked at me square in the face. He held up his Bible and he said, I will speak for everyone, whether it's now or in the future, or those who have been here in the past as a staff member. We will never, ever deviate from the word in this book.
There you go.
I'm in. Yeah. I'm in because that's what it's supposed to be. So,
that's one of the
thing is,
we heard our. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just say we hurt ourselves, especially as Christians, but not even just as Christians, as people. We hurt ourselves because we don't understand this give and take acceptance of one another, and just be there to help one another out. Like I said, Jesus said, love God, love others. So
right. Well, for me, it's funny because I looked around my first church and they were really good. They did preach from the Bible. Everything was good. We bought it. There was First Church of the Nazarene downtown. Good long-term preacher. He was the guy that married us on our marriage day. We'd done a rehearsal, and he said, "Do you take this woman?" Blah blah blah. And he said, "You will say, and I'll say, you bet." And everybody laughed, and I'm like, "Oh, that worked. That worked." Me, stand-up comedian. Oh, yeah. Actually, I'm lazy. It's a sit-down comedian. I never want to be a stand-up comedian. I'm too lazy. I go to the gym. When I work out, I do diddly squats. That's the way. Those have been 2 staple jokes in these episodes so far. So we want to give people something they're familiar with. So anyway, on the actual day of the marriage, I say the same thing, and he cracks up. But so we went there for, I don't know, 10, 15 years or whatever. And then we moved out of town and went to a little Nazarene church down in Clearwater. And we had 3 different preachers there, and they all preached from the Bible. So it was all good. But, a couple of churches I've been to, you look around and you go, these guys are bitching and moaning about a bunch of things that other people are doing wrong. Like 85% of you guys are divorced, and that's not a sin. But somebody wants to wear a dress, and that's a sin. How about that bloody big sequoia log that's in your eye? How about we take that out before we worry about the speck over there in the dress? Let people do what they want. If it's illegal, immoral, unethical, ungodly, God will deal with it. It's not for me to judge. I still need to support and love the sinners regardless. Man, I'm getting too heavy. Okay, that's enough of that. But guys, now that we've lost 2 of our 3 viewers, my mom would probably still be with us if she was still here. My wife will probably still listen to this. But we've driven away the people that don't want to listen to this, and that's okay. That's okay. They'll come back. They'll come back at times. Let me ask you this: You've got some kids, right?
I've got 3.
You got 3. So your dad joke game is strong, or are you still building on it? What are the ages of your kiddos?
19, 6, and 4.
Oh yeah, so you've had 20 years of working on it.
Yeah. As far as formalized dad jokes, you've helped me out with that a lot. But I'm kind of the the off the wall, I say something and everyone looks at me and I start laughing and they're like, I didn't know. Not at all, Dad.
Let me let you in on a secret. Sometimes comedy is just for yourself.
Oh yeah.
Right? I had a lady on
I'm
the
good
other
at
day,
it.
she asked me, she said, do you find it amusing when comedians start laughing while they're telling a joke? I think that's great. If the comedian can tell this joke 1,000 times and it still be funny to them, I love that. I've been doing a TikTok channel and some of them I'll read and I'll start cracking up and I'm like trying to hold a straight face as I'm trying to tell the joke on the TikTok recording. I got to record it 3 or 4 times and then I say, screw it. I'm just going to, if I laugh during it, doesn't matter. But, my dad was the guy that you drive by the cemetery. He says, people are dying to get in there. Next day, drive by the cemetery. He's like, that's the dead center of town. Oh, that's pretty good, Dad. Oh, yeah. So do you have any like go-tos that are your own or, it doesn't have to be a dad joke, but just a dad witticism or a line you come back with?
No, like I said, it's usually just off the wall and in the moment.
Right.
And I'm kind of more that sporadic dad joke guy where I just throw it out there and see what happens.
Right.
But as far as like a actual go-to, no, I don't think I have any of those. So
I have one that my kids still talk about today. 2 of my boys and a bunch of other kids, we went on a cricket tour to I think it was Southern California, might have been Northern California. Anyway, it was California. 2004, 2005 or something. We're staying in a hotel, right? They got a continental breakfast. Normally I don't want to get out of bed, but for some reason, I'm the first one out of bed today. So I wander down to the breakfast room and I'm sitting there and I got my cup of tea and my cereal and I got this banana nut muffin that's like right on my plate right in front of me and I'm just picking it up.
I'm hungry.
And my 2 boys walk in and they said, "What you doing, Dad?" I look at them. I look at the muffin. Look at them. Start to get a smile and I go, muffin? Like nothing. And so they still talk about that one today. They thought that was pretty classical, but they liked that trip. We went to Baskin Robbins one night for dinner. That only a dad would do that. Like only a dad would take them to Baskin Robbins for dinner. Like they'd call their mums. They all called their mums and said, oh, Mr. Fox, Coach Fox took us to Baskin Robbins for dinner. Did you hear that? He did what? I said, well, tell them where we went after Baskin Robbins. They said, oh, yeah, then we went to an arcade. No, before the arcade and after Baskin Robbins, where did we go? Oh, we went to Chinese for dinner. We just had dessert first. I'm like, life's uncertain. I'm keeping them as safe as I can, but you never know. They're never going to enjoy it. That. So, yeah, I like doing things like that. When my kids were little, they were both going Cleveland Elementary. We lived really close. And so Phantom Menace, so that's 99. So Brandon was born in 95. He just started kindergarten. So it's about 99, somewhere like that. But it's Phantom Menace. It's just come out. And so I go to school and I'm picking them both up. Him and Jason are both in the same school. Jason's like 3 years older, I think. And so, but their classes were right side by side. 2 nice teachers, great teachers. And I was the dad that volunteered because I was the stay-at-home dad at that point. Mm-hmm. And I was always there, so they knew me. And so one of the teachers, she's very, very particular, very literal on everything, right? And she goes, oh, so what are you guys doing? You going on vacation or something? I said, oh, no, I'm just pulling them out to go to a galaxy far, far away. And her eyes just glazed over, right? And the other teacher, she sort of looks across at the other teacher because their doors are both right there and they've both brought the boys to the door. And the other teacher just starts laughing. She goes, you're taking them to Star Wars. You're taking them to Star Wars, aren't you? And I'm like, and I just start grinning. So Star Wars. I've got this soundboard over here. It's so much fun. Like I've wasted so much time last Saturday just doing stuff. Alice was working on stuff at her computer, and she starts cracking up because I'm laughing at some sounds I found. So anyway, so I took the 2 boys to Star Wars, and they talked about that, until they got to their late teens, and then Dad couldn't do anything right. But now we're getting back to the point where Dad might actually know a thing or two.
Right.
It's funny. The older we get, the smarter our parents were. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, so that's the sort of games that I pull with my kids, and I've had a good time with it. I'm not really the cultural guy. I don't take them to the art museums. I don't do that stuff. But we've traveled around the globe. I mean, we've been to Australia multiple times. we've been to India with them, met a lot of great friends over in India, had a blast over there. So, I beat myself up occasionally because like I haven't done the art museums and I haven't done this and I haven't done that, but they've got experiences that are different. What about you guys when you're not on the road and giving talks and stuff? What do you guys like to do for fun?
We're outdoors. We love being outdoors, even if it's as simple as filling up the little kiddie pool out front, or going and playing disc golf, regular golf, basketball in the driveway, riding our bikes, going on hikes. We'll go on a few of the different nature trails we have around town here.
Okay. You're a camping guy? Are you like a lake camping, fishing kind of guy?
We like to. We haven't done much of it just because of the two littles. The oldest and I have done a few different trips here and there. And now that the two littles are getting a little bit older and a little more mature and responsible.
Is your 19-year-old, is he out of the house? Is he off to college or is he still okay?
No, he's just working. He couldn't formally decide what he wanted to do. And I said, well, don't spend all your money learning what you don't want to go do it and make money. So we kind of took the opposite approach with him. And I said, if later on you figure something out and realize you need some classes, take them. It's fine.
Right. Yeah. My oldest, he did the same thing. He's like, Dad, I know what I want to do. I'm going to do it. So with my family, I'm a ninth grade dropout. So I finished high school at the end of ninth grade, dropped out, started my first business. So my wife, she went on and she got a BS and a BA. She has a BS degree. I have a degree in BS. I think they're a bit different, but so my kids have seen it both. They've seen the formal education and the non-formal education. We both pay for our education. Ain't no free education. You're going to learn.
No.
Sometimes when I back talk Dad, I learned. It was a significant emotional experience that I paid for that education.
Yep.
So anyway,
absolutely.
So he's doing his thing. What's he working in? What field does he like or does he do?
So his passions, which became a little more of a hobby, was cooking and photography.
Okay.
But as far as job is concerned, he's working in the construction industry. He is a yard boy for a high reach equipment company and construction equipment company. And he loves it. He loves being there. So it's been a good mix for him. So
cool. Yeah. My idea of camping, my wife says that her idea of camping too, Motel 6 is about as low on the chain as she wants to go. We used to camp when I was a kid. Australia, you got so many great beaches and stuff. I mean, everything out there is trying to kill you, whether it's in the water or off the water. But
right,
I made it through. Spiders, snakes, sharks. Yeah,
we don't have too much of that here in Kansas, but Bradley and I did a lot of camping. He was in Boy Scouts. He got his Eagle. I'm intending on doing a lot more with the two younger ones now, but I've been camping almost my whole life. And one of the things that I told my wife, I said, don't get me wrong, I'm now to the stage I don't sleep on the ground. It's got to be a cot. I'm very quickly getting to the stage it's going to be in a camper, RV, something to that extent, because that whole sleeping like that and hoping the weather's nice versus being able to flip the switch and it's nice. I'm 20 plus years of camping like that. I'm kind of leaning more towards the glamping now in life, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I'm spoiled in that respect.
Yeah, we're rehabbing the house up in Wichita, or down where the cricket field is, and trying to turn it into an Airbnb. But I've been looking on the Airbnb site and see what sort of pictures and stuff that people do, and man, there are some cool Airbnbs, like tree houses and not yaks, yurts, right? The yurts. But you go in, it's got like bloody big screen TV and high speed internet, and so it's not like the yurts you read about that the Mongols built back in the day when they were ravaging Asia and Europe. So anyway, so that's pretty funny. So okay, let me test your Australian knowledge. Are you? Would you consider next to nothing about Australia? A few things about Australia, or a lot about Australia?
I would say a few, and I wished I knew a lot because I always wanted to visit. So
right. Well, there's planes that fly there every day, although not right now. Not right now. In fact, it's more like a prison camp right now, because like you land there and you're in quarantine for 14 days, like $3,000 off your own pocket. They have security guards to make sure you don't climb out the window. Like, it's not the place to go right now. It's like a giant internment camp. Australia lives on the tourist dollar. I don't know what they're going to do, but anyway, not my problem. Australian by birth, American by choice. And I've lived in really free states. I came and I've lived in Kansas for 30 years. And then the last year we've been down here in the Tennessee, Kentucky area, business in Tennessee, living in Kentucky, because they're like really close together. Like, who knew? Like, I can get anywhere in like 4 hours. In Kansas, it was hard to get out of the state in 4 hours, especially if you're going west, like from Wichita. But it's like people, when I talk about Australia, it's sort of like Texas. You can drive 12 hours and still be in Texas at 85 mile an hour. You're still in Texas, right? But Australia's got some states like that as well. But okay, so lay your knowledge on me. What is it that pops to mind that you know about Australia that maybe our viewers and listeners need to know?
I think for me, one of the biggest surprises that I didn't know until later on in life, and I'll throw out the stereotypical thoughts, is, you see Crocodile Dundee.
Right.
And I'd always wanted to do a walkabout in the outback. Like, I'd always said that would be an incredible experience and a sabbatical for me. But one of the things I didn't know until, I don't know, 10 or so years ago, was how big of a surfing scene there is in Australia.
Huge.
And I because growing up here in Kansas my whole life, you hear of Hawaii and California, stuff like that. But and I knew you could surf down there, but until I started watching different competitions and learning more about it, because of the potential of getting out of the States and going other places and being able to experience that. I've surfed once in my life in Hawaii. I fell in love with it. But I also loved growing up watching the competitions on TV and things, but I never paid attention to where it was.
Yeah.
But once I did, it was an eye opener for me.
Right. I think Australia's got some big surfing brands that are now mainstream in the US too, like Billabong, like all the Billabong products were Australian. Yeah. And I'm not sure if Rip Curl, I don't know if Rip Curl is or not. But anyway, but Australia's got famous surfers. I started a small business as soon as I could drive, when the first video cameras were coming out, and I would record my friends. I would go down to the beach with them, pick an elevated spot, and I would record them while they were surfing. But so, like, of the 10 times or so I did that, like 8 times, you could see the sharks underneath them. Like, I'm thinking, they're just dolphins and porpoises. And then we'd be watching the footage back and they go, that's fantastic. That's awesome. Oh, look, yeah, I was a bit worried about that shark. He kind of was checking me out. I'm like, dude, ain't no way. No, not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent.
I'd still do it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So, yes, big surfing scene all around Australia. There's Australia, has that big, like, we call it the Great Australian Bite, and there's some Dreamtime stories, Aboriginal, that a huge shark came and took that bite out of Australia. I believe it. Jaws. It wasn't off some beach down up near Maine or wherever that beach was that Roy Schneider was like killing sharks. It was bloody. It was Australian shark. Its name was Bruce. Like, I'm pretty sure of that. It was just crazy. Like, okay, so, hey, here's an animal for you in Australia. Let's see. Okay, try and see if you know what animal makes this sound. Isn't that a creepy sound? And I don't think you'll ever get what animal makes that sound.
Do I get 2 guesses? Because I had 2 animals coming to my mind.
Okay.
Either a water buffalo or a hippo.
Oh, I know, right? No hippos in Australia.
Okay.
No, that's Africa. Water buffaloes there is, because, Crocodile Dundee did the whole water buffalo thing. It's the little cuddly koala. That's the sound the koala makes. Yes. They're as scary as all get out. Like, there's you look them up on YouTube one time. Look up Drop Bear. They tell this story about how koalas, once they taste American tourist blood, because Americans have so much sugar in the system, that koalas love American blood, and they develop fangs, and they're called drop bears because they drop out of the trees to suck the blood of Americans. They don't bother Australians. It's just American tourists because of how much sugar they've got in their system. So
let me ask you this. I very, very rarely touch sugar. Am I okay then?
Safe. You'll be safe.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Just don't go to Sydney and look for a barber shop. Sorry. That's the Ironbark, the man from Ironbark poem that I sent you about the guy that wanted to go get a beard shave. So yeah, most people haven't listened to that, but it's the same guy that wrote Man from Snowy River, the movie that Burt Lancaster was back in the 80s.
Right.
Comes from a famous Australian poem. In fact, probably the most famous Australian poem called The Man from Snowy River. And that's on my Edward Reads a Book channel on YouTube, by the way. I recite The Man from Snowy River and The Man from Ironbark and Clancy of the Overflow, which are three of my favorite all-time Australian poems. So check that out on YouTube. Shameless plug. Okay, what else do you know about Australia? How about if I give you an Australian word and you try and give me a definition?
Oh, okay.
You ready? Arvo, A-R-V-O, Arvo. Use it in a sentence. And remember, this is a comedy show, so try and use it in a funny sentence.
Arvo.
Okay. Do you need some music to help you think?
I might have to have a Jeopardy theme on that or something. Yeah.
Your wish is my command. Okay. Use Arvo in a sentence. Doesn't matter if you get it right.
I couldn't get down to the Arvo to go fishing.
Well, that could actually work, especially if you were saying a pub. But no, Arvo is afternoon. So Sunday Arvo, we had an ice cream social on the church front lawn. Sunday Arvo. So Australians are really good at shortening everything because we're basically lazy, Like I said, when I go to the gym, I do diddly squats. That's how much I want to work out. But use that joke twice now. I need a joke counter like up in the corner. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
You have to have a special sound for it too.
Yeah. We could. Oh yeah, I could do that. Yeah, we can figure that out down the road. Okay. So let's give you another one. That was a good try. How about a yabby? Yabbii, I think. Don't hold me on my spelling. All my Australian friends that are going to all three viewers from Australia are going to write, that's not how you spell yabby. But yeah, it's a yabby. I'm not going to give you Jeopardy music. Sorry. No,
that's fine.
Oh, I've got the right one.
Fluffy unicorns dancing on rainbows.
I found that the other day. That's pretty fun.
All right. In the Arvo, I'm going to drink a yabby.
You might. No, not quite. You could drink the juice from a yabby. My dad would boil them and pull the heads off and suck the juice out of them, like crawdads. So a yabby is a crawdad. Simple.
Close enough, right?
A freshwater lobster kind of crayfish thingy. Crayfish, is that an American term? No.
Crayfish, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So crayfish, yabby. So that's
crayfish,
the name. I don't know if it's an Aboriginal name or whatever. Okay. So you're doing pretty good. I'll give you a pass on those two because it was good usage of that.
I appreciate that.
Cool. So what else you want to yak about? Those were the things I wanted to cover. You never did tell me you didn't have any specific dad jokes. I've got a few. I want to make sure you haven't heard these one. Why do cows have hang on. Why do cows have hooves instead of feet? I need Jeopardy.
Because they've got moves.
Because they got moves. Okay, that's actually pretty good. I need a cow looking over my shoulder. Because they lactose. Thank you. That's a great.
Oh, why couldn't I think of that one? Why couldn't I think of that?
I love it. So yeah, got a couple of joke books might help you out there, Chris, on Kindle Unlimited. Do you notice when I made this one in my pen is a green pen, so it's showing up the background. So I need an orange pen. There we go. So this one here I wrote during COVID, and I created the cover during COVID. And for those of you that are watching it, you can see it. If you're listening to this on a podcast, if I decide to turn it into a podcast, it's just a little wider than my other joke book. That's because it was during COVID. We all sort of put on a little width in COVID. Although I did have a couple of friends that worked out really good during COVID and they lost some weight. Yeah, that's not me.
That was actually me.
Okay. Well, that was actually me. I'm so impressed with people that could do that. I've been sitting my butt on this computer chair and doing a lot of videos and stuff. And so, yeah, my butt got bigger. That's all that happened. You can also follow me.
I did think of one that I do. It's not really a dad joke, but I say what's up,
right,
to everybody. Especially, I do a lot of work with youth groups and things like that. And I'll say what's up, and a lot of them like to say the sky. Well, that's half true, because the other half of the time you're inside. So I'd say, no, you're wrong. It's the ceiling. They roll their, oh, okay, yeah.
Right.
Well, I had a kid get me one time. He was standing under a light. He said, nope, I'm under a light. That's what's up.
That's fun. It's
You
fun
win.
when they can
You
play
win.
with that.
You
Yeah.
win. He did. He got me. He got
Yeah.
me. So
I
from
used
there
to do
on
things
out,
like this. What's this? And my sisters would go, it's a finger. I said, no, it's a ceiling. Like, don't you get it? You know, and then they say, it's a ceiling. No, it's a finger. Like, you know, you
keep it
you
going,
could
yeah.
always have those both. You could go both ways, right? I'd piss them off all the time because I'd say, hey, when you're good, you're good. When you're terrific, you're me. They're like, like you got, you know, and it was always just fun to stir. You know, I got 4 younger sisters. Why not stir them up? You know?
Heck yeah.
So when they watch this, they'll like put comments in Facebook and stuff, but that's okay. That's okay. We're good. The other one that I saw the other day is, you know, what do pirates pay for corn? A buccaneer. It's clever. I like that. You know, so hey, Chris, anything else you want to cover? We're at about our 30-minute mark. I don't edit these, so you know, all the bloopers and stuff that we've done of out of focuses and the disappearing things, they're going to stay. Anything else you'd like to chat about?
I think we're good. I just like I said at the start of this, the intro, and now headed to outro, so to speak, is I just appreciate I always appreciate with anybody. I love connecting with people, and then I love growing the connections to whatever direction they take. And so any opportunity to hang out with Edward, let alone to jump on It's the Edward Show, it's fun. It really is. We laugh.
Thanks,
we got serious for a while. You know,
it ran away our two viewers, but maybe we had 3 more jump on. You never know. So, Chris, hey, we forgot to talk a little bit about what you do. I know we've talked about it in other podcasts, but just take 30 seconds to a minute and tell people who you are and what you do. And then I think I've got your contact details, and I'll put that in the notes. But if not, shoot it over to me. So, Chris, what do you do, and how should people reach out to you?
So my wife and I started Eaglefire Enrichment. We're a leadership solutions company. I'm a leadership coach and inspirational speaker. She handles the health and wellness side of that. So we kind of take a holistic approach to how we help people. On the corporate side of things, we speak mostly on communication, training and development, and safety management for crisis prevention. On the inspirational side, it's being able to get people to understand that the word can't does not have to rule your life. Don't listen to it. Don't let it stop you. Go out there with a can attitude, because then once you can do it, you will do it. And then you get to say it's done.
Right. We say to our kids, and they say, oh, we can't do that. But what if you could? But what if you could? Just imagine that you could. How would you go about doing that? What if you could? What if you could? It's a very powerful statement. So don't say can't, say can. I can learn to do that. Now, it doesn't mean Michael Jordan's going to be a jockey, right? You know,
right.
But maybe he could ride camels or elephants. So maybe he could be a jockey. He just couldn't be a horse jockey. So you never know what you can do. And like, it'd be fun. My daughter, we'd be walking somewhere, we'd be doing something. She'd be walking and she'd say, oh, I'm so tired. I can't walk another step. Like, pick me up, Dad. You know, she's 4 or 5, whatever. But what if you could? I can't. I'm like, okay, let's just see, put one foot in front of another and see if it works. And she'd do it slowly. Look at that. You couldn't walk another step and you just showed that you could. Let's count how many steps you can walk before you can't walk anymore. And she'd get about half a dozen. And I said, okay, just one more. Like, you can do it. You can do it. One more. I'm like, wow, isn't that amazing? You've already blown past what you thought you couldn't do. And then I'd pick her up.
So my 6-year-old, he'll pull that, but he'll say it as he kind of drops and slumps his arms and still continues to walk, saying, I can't take another step. My daughter, on the other hand, she'll stop, but she'll start stomping because she gets mad. And I'm like, either way, you're both still moving your feet. So the door's right there. Let's go. Right. So yeah. But yeah, it just, for me, it's, make every day great, because really, no matter what, at least try, in respect to the word fail, I'd rather fail. I'm not a failure. Neither is anybody hearing this, but I'd rather fail and have tried than have never tried at all and not know.
Right.
At least I've had the opportunity. So make every day great. Remember, can't never did. And I truly do believe this. We started with talking about it, that God does bless us all. So
Yep. And you know what? God blesses us whether we're a Christian or not. Like that was a hard
Amen.
concept to understand. Like, you know, but it's the truth. And a quote, I'm claiming it. I've never heard it anywhere else. I've never seen it anywhere else. What I like to say is failure is just a comma. It's just a comma. It's not a period or a full stop. We call them full stops in Australia, so you guys call them periods over here. But a failure is just a comma. It's just a breath. It's just a pause. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, turn yourself around. There's a great song by the Goads, which is a great group that I've heard at conventions, and they're also a gospel group as well. But the Goads from the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. But they sing this song about turn yourself around, pick yourself up, turn yourself around, dust yourself off, and start all over again. So yeah, remember that failure is just a comma. It's just a pause. It's just a pause in your path. It's not a full stop. It's not the end of the world. Failures come, failures go. So, hey, Chris, great having you on the show. Thanks once again. I'll have to keep coming up with new show types to keep having you back. Or we don't need that. We don't need an excuse. We'll just have you back. So, thanks. Let me stop this recording and we can chat.